All right. Live on YouTube and good to have you, Susan Michelle and Myrna Skiller. Nice to see you both.
Thank you. Hi, this is Susan Michelle. I am here in Western Massachusetts with my great friend and soul sister, Myrna Scholar in Florida. It's so wonderful to be here as always. I am the author of Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. I teach the transformational truth of A Course in Miracles. Myrna Scholar has this fabulous book, Private Lessons with Jesus, based on the principles of A Course in Miracles, which we are all here to study, to learn, to just embody the principles of A Course in Miracles. So, Myrna and I have been studying it for about 34 years. We met eons ago in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And I loved our talk on Friday with Rob Schwartz. Myrna just signed up for his 7-week class, and I'm very tempted to do that as well. I know for sure I'm going to sign up for his May 5th seminar, and I've been listening to him a lot on YouTube. Rob Schwartz is the author of Your Soul's Love, Living the Life You Planned Before You Were Born. And he talks about pre-birth planning. And it's amazing how his principles and what he teaches aligns itself with the Course in Miracles. So I think we will continue to talk a little bit about that today because whenever I talk about it, I feel so empowered. And how are you doing today, Myrna?
Oh, I'm doing great, really. And I agree. Friday's session with the Rob was really, really wonderful. Yeah, he is an amazing speaker, and I certainly know this. I've been listening and being part of his teaching really for many years. I'll tell you quickly how I met him. I just happened to be scanning the channels. I was looking for something to watch on TV. I went to Amazon Prime, and I saw this program From Life to Afterlife. I said, this has got to be interesting. So I tuned in, and there might have been about 5 or 6 speakers. And every time Rob got up to speak, I really was fascinated. Not that I was more fascinated with him, I liked him very much. I thought the whole program was very interesting, but I liked the way he spoke. And at the end of the program, I saw there was an email that he had posted. And I sent him an email saying that I thought that this was probably the best program I ever saw on that subject. And he emailed me back. And what was interesting is I must have felt a connection to him right off, because ever since we connected, right then and there, we always sort of maintain that connection. He got in touch with me right soon after he had received the email from me, giving him that great response that I had to him, and he asked me if I study what I if I study anything specifically in the realm of spirituality. And I asked him about the Course in Miracles. Yes, he was familiar with the Course in Miracles. I told him I was writing a book based on the principles of the Course in Miracles, and I began sending him the lessons. And for an entire year, he was taking in the lessons, and he was and asking me to just keep sending as I was writing. And that's the connection we made. And then I took a couple of workshops with him, and the workshops really were really fascinating. I have to say that Rob Schwartz is very, very much connected to A Course in Miracles. I think we probably both recognize that because that was the connection that we had, really. And, he speaks about, he explains what he does in different words than A Course in Miracles does, but his explanations are really, really send you right back to the truth. What he says, he really goes beyond what he goes beyond what the Course teaches, in that he does speak of pre-birth plan, or in between. Now he calls it in between life planning, and how we plan our destiny. Well, the Course in Miracles says that too, but not in so many words. It says that we here to learn what we're destined to know. Rob teaches that we find it.
I like how A Course in Miracles and Rob Schwartz's teachings coincide, how they come together. Because A Course in Miracles is a non-dualistic thought system. As everyone here knows, the introduction states, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. What does that mean? Only the love is real. Now, what Rob Schwartz teaches is he teaches, yes, from, again, I don't know him as well as you. I have just been listening to his YouTube videos and his Audible book now for the past 10 days. But from what I get, he says, yes, he believes in A Course in Miracles. He believes in non-dualism. Only the love is real. However, he teaches that we come to this earthly plane, and basically part of our reason for being here is to learn this, to remember who we are. And we learn this through contrast. We learn that we are love by holding that thought system while we are experiencing non-love. So I find that very interesting, because what's been happening to me is I know only the love is real. A lot of times I start out this talk with the introduction of my book, which basically got downloaded to me about 7 years ago. And I know when I am aligned with love, I'm more able to connect with source energy. God is able to connect to me when my vibration is higher and I am focused on love. My introduction starts out, my passion is God. God is love and joy and beauty. He is all that is good in the world. Everything else is our own miscreation. When we are filled with joy, we are connected to God. When we are not joyful, we have lost our connection to all that is real. This is my message. It can be clarified with 3 simple words: surrender to joy. There is nothing to find. All we need to do is surrender. So the love that we are searching for in the external world is within us. And when we are connected to source energy, we are able to hear God speak to us. We are able to allow God to speak through us. However, the world is dualistic. The world is a world of conflict. I mean, I'm going to have to admit, I listened to the news during lunch, and there is a lot of chaos going on. Like right now, what's going on in Haiti is horrific. And I mean, this is happening consistently in this earthly plane. But what we need to learn as Course in Miracles students, or as spiritual students as general, how to keep ourselves plugged into our God socket, despite what's happening on the earthly plane. So it's about remembering who we are. And I know, I mean, again, we can focus on the negative, and if we focus on the fear, if we focus on the negative, even if we focus on fighting the fear or fighting the negative, like a lot of people do, I mean, what that's going to do is it's going to lower our vibration. I think when we are the most powerful is when we can come from a loving place despite what's happening in the external environment. And I do believe that's what a lot of the great teachers in history did, the enlightened masters, Jesus Christ, Buddha, And that is our lesson, to keep ourselves plugged in to that place of peace, love, joy, and happiness, despite the negative energy in the external world. What do you think of that, Myrna?
There you go. Now we got to do it. Yes, we know it. Now we got to do it. And as you said, you turn on the news and you really fed a lot of negativity. It's all negative. It really is. It's all fear and it's chaos and it's horrific. I find it very hard to separate the fact that there are wars going on. I mean, there are wars that are, and the countries that are inflicting the wars are becoming wealthier and wealthier, like Russia and Iran and so forth. And you can't help but give your opinions and feel a certain way. At least that is for me. Yet at the same time, what Rob says is the news is really geared, okay, and I stress that word, to keep us in fear. So in other words, the powers that be really want us to be fearful because we're, as a nation or as a people, as a human, as a.
And by the way, you can call me anytime.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened, but anyway, we're easier to control. And that's really the emphasis that I'm receiving is that that's really, in a way, that's part of it. So I guess we just have to keep ourselves, as you say, plugged in, recognizing that, first of all, there's nothing we can do. The way I look at it is the way I ease my fears about what I just said, what I hear on what's going on in the world, is that I just try to send out loving thoughts the best I can, loving, healing thoughts. And that's really what we're supposed to be doing. And that's all we can do. We can't change the world. We can perhaps, and the course says we just have to change our mind about the world. But at the same time, we can perhaps heal what's going on in our own little corner of the world. And
Yes.
to be loving and to be gracious and to be giving in that respect, and to just open your heart, to the heart level, where it lets in the love that we're given to feel and also extend. So.
Very well said. Very, very well said, Myrna. I agree 100% with everything you just said. I remember there was one question at the seminar on Friday that has to do with war. Rob was asked if the people that are victims in the war, if they I guess subconsciously, unconsciously, or prior to their birth, asked to be a part of that. Was this part of their pre-birth planning to be a part of this war, whatever war is happening at the present time? And Rob's answer, in a very calm way, was probably they did, because there is something that their soul needs to learn by enduring that particular hardship. And that is such an empowering concept for me to believe that there are no victims. There are no victims because the challenges that we experience in this lifetime were actually designed to make us more compassionate, more loving. By enduring the obstacles, it's playing its part in opening our heart to love more deeply. Like, that is so empowering. Like, I know, and I hear this, I work part-time at a nursing home, and I've heard this like so many times over the course in my life. People love to feel sorry for other people. I remember growing up, my father loved to feel sorry for me. And when my father pitied me, it made me so angry. Like, I really am to the point that I don't want to feel sorry for someone else, because feeling sorry for someone else, it's kind of like projecting unhealed sadness onto that other person because you don't want to take responsibility for those feelings within yourself. That's what feeling sorry is. It's a very negative vibration. Empathy is more like compassion, and empathy can be very empowering. But to feel sorry for other people, to feel sorry for those poor people that are over there in Haiti, like I don't want to feel sorry for anyone, and I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. To believe that when we are placed in difficult situations, it is because there is something that our soul needs to learn from that. Like that is so freeing, and that is so positive, and that's so empowering. And I loved Rob Schwartz's answer to this question, that we are never, and that's very Course in Miracles too. We are never, ever a victim of circumstances. Why? Because we create these circumstances because it's something within our unconscious mind, our subconscious mind, that is being reflected back to us for healing purposes. Just to because I know whenever I'm feeling like I'm a victim, whenever I'm feeling like someone else is a victim, it's when my ego has control, because spirit, God, Christ consciousness just knows that everything is designed for our greatest good and for healing purposes. And then Lynn and Karen, there's some beautiful chats in the chat room right here. Karen writes, the script is written, and Lynn writes, what could you not accept if you, oh, I love this. What could you not accept if you but knew that everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? Perhaps you have misunderstood his plan, for he would never offer pain to you. But your defenses did not let you see his loving blessing shine in every step you ever took. While you made plans for death, he led you gently to eternal life. So beautiful. And then there's a little, who planned war? Well, that was definitely the ego. The ego planned it for learning purposes, I believe. I mean, obviously I'm anti-war, but there has to be something to be learned from it if that's what's happening, right?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I don't know whether I planned it or I didn't plan it. All I know is that obviously I'm expected to learn from it, because as Lynn said, I see it up on the chat. Um, what could you not accept if you but knew that everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? So perhaps the wars are somehow planned for me to learn something. It's planned for my highest good, because I'm the only one that really counts when you think about it. It's you. I mean, it's just one energy, really.
Correct.
So, yeah. So if the wars were planned, so that I could learn, and it could add something to the best of my learning process, the best of who I understand myself to be, then what have I learned? Let me question that right now. What have I learned from this? I'm learning that not to buy into it. That's what I'm learning. But then my ego feels guilty. What do you mean you're not going to buy into that? People are starving and they're homeless, and you hear all the horrific things. And so then my ego jumps in and tells me, well, you're wrong. So it is the wanting to really connect with the part of us that feels right. Okay, and what feels right? Yes, God would never offer us pain, and we don't really have to learn through pain. Sometimes we choose to. We choose to learn through pain because that's the only path that we know to travel, and how we, come out of it, through our own understanding that we don't want to be in pain. I mean, I can certainly attest to that because I've been in pain and I'm out of pain. And what did I do to get out of pain? I connected to the part of myself that's connected to God, recognizing, holding fast to the fact that I am one with God. I'm part of the great consciousness of God's great will for me, a love for me. That's all God is anyway, a complete love. So you know, if I constantly recognize that that's all there is really for me to know. And the course says too, I need do nothing. I need do nothing but learn my purpose. So we learn of our purpose through life's paths. Whatever life throws us is a, you know, a learning experience. And
Again,
go ahead. I just wanted to thank Karen too for the script is written. Yes, it is written. I like that. I was saying that how I met Rob and she posted the script is written. Yeah, that's probably was probably meant for me to meet him that way. Yes, go ahead, Susan.
Michaela, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly, has her hand raised. Did you want to share, Michaela?
Oh, I just love what you said, Susan and Myrna both, um, about empathy and compassion, because I work as a nurse. And so, sometimes my patients, they're born, as quadriplegic, or they're born blind, or they're born with these handicaps. And so it really helps me to look at it as, the script is written, but, to also come from love. And when you come from love, you're coming from empathy and compassion, and you don't come from you feel sorry for them or that they're a victim. That's not even there. You just totally come from love. And so it's really beautiful what you said, Susan. I really like that. And what Karen wrote and Myrna said about the script is written. That's how I look at my patients, and they love me. So yeah, it's a great way of looking at it in a great classroom. And Rob Schwartz's material is really helpful, too, because it kind of helps integrate it, because the course doesn't get into that part. That's not what the course is really about, but it helps integrate it. So thank you.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
wanted to say,
thank you. Go
yeah,
ahead.
she sounds like a wonderful nurse, Michaela. You really do, and I think that's wonderful that you chose that as your profession, and you sound because you have such a healing essence about you. So hope for one day if I need a nurse, she's just like you.
Because I think I love that too. People can pick up if you're sympathizing with them. It's a negative energy vibration. Like there was one story that Rob Schwartz shares on numerous occasions about how there was a young African American woman, and she was deaf. And in her past lifetime, she saw and heard her mother being shot to death. So this was such a traumatic event for her that she committed suicide in this lifetime. Then during her pre-birth planning session, her angel, her I guess the energy that was planning this lifetime with her asked her if she wanted to be born deaf in this lifetime so that this would not happen to her, so she wouldn't be able to experience anything so horrific. And she said, yes, I want to be born deaf. So this was to protect her from the same experience happening again. So it's not about like feeling sorry for people. It's about realizing that our challenges, whether they're physical challenges, whether they're emotional challenges, they're put in our life to teach us. I just don't see how like sympathy can actually help in someone's learning. Like even again for homeless people, I mean, there was a story I just heard about a homeless man. And again, since I'm so into Rob Schwartz lately, I think I heard it from him. It's like if you pass a homeless person and you actually look at this person, you look down on this person. Again, you're coming from ego. But if this homeless person has crossed your path, I mean, he could be more evolved than you. And maybe the universe put him in your path to teach you to show compassion. But I do know when I see a homeless person, sometimes I choose to stop my car and to give him money, but I'm always very conscientious, and I say thank you to him. I never, thank you for allowing me to give to you. Thank you for allowing me to open my heart. I always make an effort not to look down on them, because it's just lowering my energy, it's lowering their energy. And who knows, maybe I was homeless in my past lifetime, maybe I'll be homeless. I mean, I don't know why people are homeless, but it's not up to me to judge someone else's experience in this lifetime. That's not my place. The ego judges, the Holy Spirit accepts. The Holy Spirit is focusing on the beauty and the commonality in everyone that presents themselves to us. And the truth is, God has but one son. So that homeless person is me. And I am that homeless person. And when I can realize that I'm no better, that I'm no worse. He's just a part of the sonship, playing this part for whatever the reason. I remember this one movie. Oh, I think it was a movie with Jennifer Aniston and Jim Carrey, a very, very spiritual movie. And there was I can't remember the name right now, but there was like a homeless person in the movie, and what it showed at the end of the movie is the homeless person turned into an angel, like a person of Christ consciousness, and it showed how blessed this person was. Karen, did you want to share? I think Karen has her hand raised. Do you have your hand raised, Karen?
You're muted.
Yes. Hi, ladies. Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you. Good to
Are
see
you
your
too?
smiling face.
You too. I just want to share when I heard you say you don't look down on homeless people, I know that if we're looking down on a homeless person, we're looking down on ourselves. All right. That's number one, what the course is teaching us. But the second thing I wanted to share was Rob Schwartz. The first time I heard of Rob Schwartz was an interview with Buddha at the gas pump. Amazing, amazing interview. And he shared about a homeless person who had two sisters. And the two sisters, and they had money. It wasn't like that he was poor. The two sisters went to Rob and said, why is he living under a bridge? Why is he doing this? What can we do to bring him home? What can we do? What can we do? And Rob said that, he said, he is so enlightened. He is one of the most enlightened beings that you'd ever want to meet. He is here to teach you lessons. He is here to teach you, that these material things that you think are so important aren't important, and all these other lessons. I can't remember all of them, but it was just so beautiful that he was teaching them. He came there specifically to teach his sisters lessons. And that was his role. He was playing perfectly. So you're right. When we see a homeless person, we don't feel sorry for them. This is what their plan was. So thanks.
I could tell you my favorite homeless person story, okay, which I was involved in when I was living in Manhattan, and I had a store, and I used to go back and forth. I lived close by. And one night I was going home from my store, and it was dark. And it was so cold. I mean, it must have been like 5 degrees. It was so cold. I just wanted to get home. And here was this homeless man asking for money. And my thought was, oh, it's so cold. Do I stop? Do I just keep walking? I don't want to stop. Well, anyway, I did stop. And I said, okay, okay. And I went through it, and I handed him whatever, $1. And he said, wait a minute. He said, wait a minute, I have something for you. And with that, he had a portfolio, and he opened up the portfolio and took out a sketch. He said, I'm an artist. He said, I want to give you one of my sketches. so I want to give you something. Well, that really developed a connection between the two of us, because now I knew his name, and every time we would pass, we would greet each other, and anytime I gave him money, he'd sketch something for me, and then he wanted to give back. It was such a lovely connection. I knew his name. Then one time he did open up a little bit to me. He told me that his mother wants nothing to do with him. So you know what I said? I said, I'm your mother. And and really, I just adored him, and this went on for quite a while because he became familiar to me. Anyway, yes, we all have a connection with other beings. Somehow we find it somehow, and whether we're meant to or not, we're always meant to. I shouldn't say whether we're meant to or not, because we are. Everything is meant to be, and like Karen just said, the script is written. So you can't change anything. You can't stop life from happening. It just is going to go the way it's supposed to go, and we have to recognize that whatever it is, we just go with the flow, and by going with the flow, we don't take things so seriously. We learn to take things as they come. Don't look at every problem as a big problem. You can minimize a problem, make it very, very small. And these are the things that we become more attuned to. And I have to just say one of the things is, and I remember back when we went to our class when I first met you in the 1990s, and you were telling Jeff Mironov, who was our teacher, about, I think it was somebody who was a homeless person. I don't know if you remember. And you were telling him you feel so sorry for him. I remember back then, and Jeff, in his wisdom, pointed out why not to feel sorry for him, that he is taken care of. I'll never forget that session, because I remember that particular that discussion that we had, and he was so adept at being able to describe exactly why we need not feel sorry for other people. That he pointed out that God takes care of everybody.
So that was unhealed sadness in me that I was projecting. I
That was
didn't
well, that was
understand that at the time.
well,
Yeah,
that was in the early days, and I still feel sorry for people. I mean, we still have to, recognize we're going to feel sorry for people. If I do that, I try to catch myself, really, and not
I
see.
remember this my homeless person story. I wrote about it in my book. I was living on 35th and Lex in Manhattan, really, into A Course in Miracles big time, the way I am now, doing my lessons in the morning, my meditation in the morning. And one day I left my apartment. I was plugged into my God socket big time. And there was a homeless gentleman sitting on the corner on 34th and Lexington, right by the post office. I did not judge him because, again, I was plugged into my God socket. All I can remember is I made eye contact with him, but I stepped out of the way, like Susan stepped out of the way. So it was Christ was able to work through me, and my eyes met his eyes. That's all I remember, but it felt empowering. There was some kind of energy exchange that happened, and I just felt really good about it. And so then I got on the subway. I did whatever I had to do. I came back a couple hours later, an hour later, I don't remember exactly. And I passed by that same corner on the way to my apartment. And this homeless man was now up. He was laughing and he was playing with children. Um, and I don't know what made the change in his mood possible, because he seemed very down the first time I passed him and very happy, as I passed him the second time. But I truly believe it was some kind of consciousness that worked through me. And it wasn't me. I mean, it definitely wasn't me. I don't have the ability to, lift anyone up. I don't have that ability, but I think we all can become conduits for Christ consciousness once we get our ego out of the way. And I truly believe that's what happened that morning. And, that was a miracle. That was a miracle that the homeless person, the homeless gentleman, was there to reflect back to me that when Susan's ego gets out of the way, there's nothing that Christ can't do through me. I can become a conduit for his miracles. That had nothing to do with me. That's what A Course in Miracles teaches. I mean, if we're open, if we're ready, if we're able, we will become a conduit for miracles, and we don't know what those miracles will be. God is in charge of the miracles, but when we're ready, he will work miracles through us, and those miracles are just as empowering for us as they are to the recipient of our love, God's love. It's very beautiful. That's just one very distinct memory I have. And he was an angel to me. He mirrored back to me the fact that there was like so much love that we all have access to whenever we just release our fear, release our ego. Like we can't like go after the love. Like that's not possible. But what we can do is we can release our fear, like just get out of the way. Like you said, Myrna, I need do nothing. All I need to do is release what's getting in the way, identify it and release it. And then there's so many miracles that can happen at each and every moment. It's so beautiful when you can just kind of trust that, God has our back, and let go and love ourselves. I do think it's so important to love ourselves. That's something that came up for me in this morning's meditation. It's just so important for me to love myself. It's so important for me to accept that everything in my life is perfect right here, right now. I mean, stop resisting things that we don't like about life, and just accept that everything is happening, for reasons to teach me what I need to learn. Zulma's having a really good time
Yeah,
with
I'm
her dog.
watching. Oh, that's
That's so
great. I'm watching the
beautiful.
dog. He loves
That's
her
a
so
miracle.
much.
Yeah, that is a miracle.
He wants to go out. That's what it is. And
He
he's not
is.
going to leave me alone. I
He
do.
is.
I'm
He
going to
is.
switch
He
back.
loves
I'm
you.
going to
He
switch from
loves
the
you to
phone to the.
death.
I'm coming back.
That is so cute. What is he a beagle? He looks like a little beagle.
I hear a lot of things. Jack Russell, definitely part of Jack
Jack
Russell,
Russell.
part Chihuahua. I'm hearing Beagle. I want to get him. Look, he's scratching the mess. Look.
Yeah, he's
Ah,
telling you.
He
Yeah,
wants
he's
to go
telling
out.
you.
We're going to switch back to the phone and go back and go out. Sorry for the interruption.
No, it was adorable. I lost my little guy after 17 years, but he's still with me in spirit. He's at the Rainbow Bridge. That's what somebody sent me. Actually, the veterinarian that I used to use sent me a lovely sympathy card. And this whole card, little thing that says that when dogs die, they go to Rainbow Bridge, wherever that is, and they play with each other and they love them and they're having a wonderful time. So I guess Rusty is at Rainbow Bridge right now, having a good time. Anyway, I'm looking at the chats here, and they're really, really so good. Odsy said we can stop life from happening. We can't stop life from happening. Just go with the flow. I say the flow of the glow. Yes, I said we have to go with the flow, and that's the best description of going with the flow. Go with the glow. The flow of the glow, because you don't want to go with the flow of negativity. You don't want to go with the flow of duality. You want to go with the flow of the glow, and that's the best way to go, really, because when you feel the glow and just let it go, and it's the easiest way to flow when you're feeling the glow, because then it's easy to flow with it. It's wanting more of that, wanting more of that. It's really, and that's why we come to, we want to stay with it. We want to stay with that consciousness, and not wanting to let it go, and speaking to people who can offer that to us, like Rob is one example. The sessions that we always tune into with each other right here on Zoom, it's wonderful. I mean, it really keeps us in sync with the power within, connecting to each other on a very wonderful level, because we're all on the same page. That's what makes it so nice. We have this connection with others that we're on the same page with. So I thank my brothers and sisters for being here with me and helping me through life's ups and downs. you know.
And Karen has something to share.
Karen, oh yeah, Karen, let me hear.
Thank you both so much. And Myrna, I love what you just shared, because we do, and we have so much more in common. We have so much in common, and we don't realize it until we start talking about it. I just want to share an experience with my uncle, who was homeless for 10 years. And he became homeless. And that's the other thing I like to remember. We don't know the story of the person, right? We don't know what prompted them to become homeless. But for him, his parents died within 16 days apart. He was very close to his mother. And he just really lost it when his mother died. And he turned back to drugs. And long story short, he became homeless. His choice. His whole family turned against him. I did not know him well at this point. This was years ago. It was like in the 90s. My father passed away in 1998. No one told him. He had 12 brothers and sisters. No one told him his brother died. Then his sister, one of his sisters died. No one called him and told him. It's like they just shunned him from the family. It was terrible. I got to know him later on, like in early 2000. And he has been the brightest light in my life. He has been the greatest teacher in my life. From being homeless, he's taught me to be not only grateful, right? Because he's grateful for everything. He doesn't take anything for granted. He knows what it's like not to have. He slept in dumpsters. He ate out of trash cans, So every little thing he's grateful for. And he's also the most helpful human being I know. And he teaches me so many lessons. So they have so much to teach us. Everyone does. Everyone does. I'm not just exclusively saying homeless people, but particularly I believe this pre-birth planning that he was definitely put into my life. And he's been consistently in my life since probably 2004. And he's been one of my greatest teachers. And I'm very grateful. And everyone just, even his own children, have nothing to do with him. And it's very, very sad because they just judge him. And we can't love anyone when we judge them. So that's all. Thanks.
True. Thank you, Karen. Yes, Susan, you had mentioned a movie that you saw. I had read the book. I meant to comment on that last time. It was called Ice Castles, I believe. You saw the movie, and wasn't that in Rome? And
Yeah, that was a great movie about the parents. Woody Harrelson was in that movie. He played the father. He was an alcoholic. He went through time periods of being homeless, and despite I guess what happened was the children, when they were young, they loved their parents. I can't remember who played his wife right now, but when they were young, they just loved their parents the way all children do. And as they started getting older and seeing their parents more clearly, they saw the fact that their father was an alcoholic. They saw the fact that they were, struggling, or they experienced not having food to eat. They experienced all the hardships that came from not having enough money. So the only thing they wanted to do was to get away, to get away, to make money, to not be like their parents, because their parents were too unreliable, And then one of the main characters of that movie did make money. She did get engaged to a very wealthy man, and she got everything that she thought she wanted. But then she realized at the end of the movie that she didn't want that stuff. And she realized at the end of the movie that she just loved her parents and she loved her father so much. So she broke up from her fiance, went back to her father, Woody Harrelson, and just told him how much she loved him and realized how much she was like him. So there was a lot of forgiveness that took place at the end of the movie. And that's what I found being very aligned with what A Course in Miracles is teaching. Um, I mean, I can even see a similar pattern happening in my own life. I was very my father was emotionally abusive. He was. And when I was a child, I just loved him so much. Then as I started to realize I was being abused, I just wanted to get away from him. And then near the end of his life, he passed away about 3 years ago. He was 97 years old. I mean, the only thing that I wanted was to love him and forgive him. And I do have a lot of his qualities, because I think to just forgive and love is not, I mean, it's what A Course in Miracles is teaching us to do. That's where our Christ-like, that's how our Christ-like consciousness can be attained. That's how enlightenment can be attained, through compassion and forgiveness. I mean, I'm sure in the movie, Woody Harrelson was put in his children's life for learning purposes. My dad, I believe, was putting my life for learning purposes. Um, right, Myrna?
I'm looking at what the movie you're talking about. It's called The Glass Castle. That's the name of the movie. And I read the book first and then saw the movie. And you're talking about forgiveness. Here are these siblings, 4 siblings really, that are really left to bring themselves up. The father was often drunk, but when he was sober, he was wonderful. He was loving, he was charismatic, he was, a good father. And yet they grew up in squalor. The description of how they grew up was just beyond belief. In fact, at the very beginning of the book, at the beginning of I don't know if it's in the movie as well, but it starts where she sees her mother. She's riding in a cab up Park Avenue and sees her mother going through the garbage. Her mother was homeless. That's how it starts. And then she goes back and it reveals the story. And then at the very end, how they lived, they found out that the parents had $1 million, right? They find, the kids find out after living the way they live that the parents had all this money. Really, they just didn't want to spend it. They just didn't. They would rather live the way they lived. But that's, you talk about forgiveness. To think of how you really have to forgive that, to think that if that's your in the script for you to, it's meant for you to forgive that requires a lot. It really, it does. And according to the book and the movie, I believe that she, like you said, she does forgive her father in the end. And I don't think she ever connects with her mother. Her mother chose to stay homeless. It was an amazing story and a true story. So, yeah.
And Zoma has something to say too.
I was thinking about the whole forgiveness piece. The whole key. Okay, so this morning, the passage that kept coming up for me in the course, when I was on, was that all thoughts produce form at some matter, at some, or that all thoughts produce form in some manner. And miracle principle number 12 is that miracles are thoughts. And what seems to keep getting missed is the fact that it's all about the thoughts. It's never about what's going on out there that needs to be forgiven. If I can think about the fact, if I can look at the fact if I can see that what's coming out of that person, whoever it is what's in that person, and what's coming out is pain, and that person is in pain or was in pain, because it could be somebody who's physically alive now or not, whatever. And then it was just pain that kept coming out and pain that kept coming out. That if I can see that, if I could take the time to just engage with that and realize that the pain that they were putting out, I chose to take on as a part of my belief system. And then realize that my belief system is just based on what I think and what I think and what I think and what I think, and not on that person. Then forgiveness becomes easy, because it's not the person that I have to forgive. What I thought about the person is what I have to look at. It's not what you do or what you did or what you said. It's what I think about what you do or what you said. It's never, ever anything out there. It's never anything out there. And unless and until we realize that we are the ones responsible and that no one is to blame, it's no one's fault. No one did anything. Everything is happening for us, through us, as us. God is not vulnerable. God is not shamed. God is not weak. God is not whatever those things were that we were told that we were and all that. When we recognize our God self, you call it being plugged into the God socket, Susan. I'm going to take it one step. Being my God self, recognizing that I am that. I am that. And when I'm thinking about the fact that I am that, and that everybody else is too, whether they know it or not, then it becomes easy for me to think about what I'm thinking about. The course says it's a course in mind training, and that study and attention is required. Study and attention, guarding our thoughts and all that. That's really where the forgiveness thing comes from. I spend my time intentionally looking at what I'm thinking about when I'm not feeling right about something. I'm intentionally now. That's my intention. Mind training, mind training, mind training. Yeah, that's basically it. And then forgiveness becomes easy, because it's not them out, it's nothing out there. They're not responsible for what's going on with me. I'm responsible for what's going on with me. And it's me I want to forgive. I want to let myself off the hook so I can keep on going, laughing, smiling, and extending more love. I'm complete.
Very well said, Zulma. Very, very well said. Today's lesson is lesson 78. Let miracles replace all grievances. So when we're holding on to unforgiveness, when we're judging our brother, when we're choosing to hold on to our grievances, God can't get through. We can't open up to the truth of who we are. As you said, we are God. We're a part of God. We can't step into our sense of truth when we are blocking it with our grievances, because the two do not align together. So grievances are like a dark cloud over the light of truth. And the only person who suffers from those grievances is not the person that we're judging, it's ourselves, because God can't get through. I'm just trying to articulate my thoughts here, but it's a very important lesson. It's like, do I want to hold on to unforgiveness? Do I want to hold on to resentments? Do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? You know, and it's through forgiveness of our brother, which is really forgiving ourselves, that we connect with the truth of who and what we are. Zulma, did you want to share again? You still have your hand up. Did I provoke a thought?
I think she took a,
I took her hand down.
Oh,
Oh yeah, she does have her hand back up. So yes.
No, I thought I was taking it down, but then I realized I put it back up after you took it down. No, I was complete. I was complete. Thank you.
yeah, because Myrna and I were talking about lesson 78, which goes hand in hand with forgiveness and just focusing on the beauty in our brothers, focusing on the beauty in our lives. Myrna has here lesson 78 in her book, Private Lessons with Jesus. She now I'm skipping to the middle of it here. And what Myrna writes, what Jesus writes through Myrna in Private Lessons with Jesus, every time you let a grievance go, you attract a miracle, not only to yourself, but also to the one you are having the grievance with. I mean, every time we choose to let a grievance go, every time we choose to forgive our brothers, we can just feel our energy raise itself. And it's a win-win. Because we feel better. And ultimately, the person that we're holding the grievance against probably senses that, and he or she feels better too. Right, Myrna?
Yeah, yes, you read that part. There's another part that I like in that lesson in my book, in our book, Private Lessons with Jesus, where by going beyond the facade of justifying your anger, you can then understand the part you play in the grievance. Where does it say that, okay, those who have hurt you are actually your saviors, for they are the ones from whom you can learn the most. I like that line. Those are and it says that, and this is very much aligned with what Rob teaches, really, what Rob Schwartz teaches, that yes, those we learn the most from the people that have hurt us, who in actuality are our saviors. When you think about that, and I do think about that when I go back and think of the times that I was hurt and those people that I thought had hurt me. Really, I recognize that the path that we needed to travel together in order for me to learn from them. And, we are the teachers and we are also the learners both. And we're here to teach, we're here to learn. And sometimes when we have to teach somebody a lesson, it's just as painful as having to learn the lesson from that person. Because when we're teaching a lesson, it means that we're the ones who are being verbally abusive, and the part that I played in that, maybe I had to be, and I can recognize that. I could think of specific incidents, but I just use that as an example, that it's just as painful for the person who's teaching the lesson as it is, because we're both saviors, really. We're teaching and we're their saviors as well as our own, and we're learning from them, and they are our saviors, and the same is true in reverse. So lessons are to be learned everywhere, in every encounter with everyone that you ever had anything with, good, bad, or indifferent. So I like that, really, when I think about that, learning from everyone, really.
Zelma?
So the course tells us to teach only love, for that is what we are. But sometimes the person who's hurting as a result of whatever, I'm having a grievance and they're having a grievance. Sometimes if I drop the grievance, they don't, because if they are not in the belief system, if they're not recognizing that they have the opportunity, they have the ability, that they are capable of changing their minds too, that their feelings and their thoughts are connected. If they don't realize that, they're going to stay there. I mean, I have a family member who believes that, the whole world is just against, it's always against her, and it's always something her, and it's always something her. And the problem, and what's happening is that she's pushing people away from her even more. And it doesn't matter how much it just, some people are going to be where they are. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility, as the course teaches, is to accept the atonement, to accept the ability to undo and undo for myself. And as I do that, then it's my peace is what I have to concern myself with, and let my light shine. Now, if you want the light, you're going to reach for it. But if you don't, it's not my responsibility. And that's something that I had to come to grips with, really, just recently, really just recently, because I was feeling guilty about, them feeling this, and I should, I felt like I should this and I should that. You, as much as you heard me talk about this shoulding thing, we don't have to should anything. We're not responsible for anybody else. We are responsible for ourselves. We're responsible for accepting the atonement for ourselves, recognizing for myself that we are one no matter what. No matter what, we're one. And event in your own way, in your own time, you're going to get it. But I'm not responsible for that. I'm complete.
And then it's 4:02. If we have a few more minutes, I'd love to hear what Cindy has to say. I know Cindy has her hand up.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, go right ahead. Take a couple minutes.
Yeah. Shoot, I always wander off. I just, okay. So when they don't drop their grievance, as we were reading earlier, it helps me to remember that underneath that grievance is Christ. And I know that's probably obvious to all of you, but that really stuck out. And I'm sorry, you guys, my ability to put two words together is limited today. But thanks, Delma. Is it Delma or Delma? I'm sorry.
Are you hearing her?
Hey, it's a little garbled, but I think I heard
Okay,
some of
right.
what she said.
I'm sorry.
Thank
Anyway, hang on. So I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Yes, okay, now we can hear you.
So I wanted to thank Zelma, right? I'm sorry.
Zoma, yes.
Okay. For really what you said earlier would really put a lot of clarity for me about how it's just our thoughts. And it just dawned on me like, I waste so much time looking at the form and getting so caught up in it. When if I watch my thoughts, I can let them go as they come up. Anyway, you really clarified that for me. I wanted to thank you. And that's it.
Yeah, Zoma's extremely wise. Thank you,
Yes.
thank you. And thank you, Myrna. I love you so much. Thank you for being here with me on our talk. I always feel so empowered when we speak together. And I love you all so much. It is now 4:04. So I will end with nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. The only thing that's real is the love. Thank God for that. Thank God for A Course in Miracles. And again, I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. And I will return the microphone to Lynn.